Welcome back. Today we will scaffold the identity into a Razor page with the authorization, and in this tutorial we shall scaffold identity into a Razor project with authorization, examine register, examine login, examine logout and test identity, and we'll switch over to now Visual Studio and start working from our second tutorial on identity. Okay, so here what we'll do is we'll right click the project and click on add new scaffolded item and select identity, click on add, click this ellipsis, click on this layout.cshtml which is selected by default and click on OK and choose files to override. Now I have to at least override one file, but I have to create login, logout and register. So let's check in this, tick the checkboxes, and data context class will be application DB context. Now this overriding one of the files, at least one of the files, is a must, because what the link to this particular item says that you need to select at least one file to override. You must select at least one file to add your data context, right? So after that, once I have selected, so if it was at least one file, so I have checked in all these three files of interest to us, and data context class is by default this one, web app 1.data, and click on add. Let's see what happens. All right, so I've got login, logout, register all created for me, and here this file is also created. There is a scaffolding readme.txt which is open, and it says that support for ASP.NET Core identity was added to your project. That's fine. So it verifies it. The code for adding identity to your project was generated under areas identity. So under areas identity, these pages within identity pages and account folder, everything was added. Now configuration of the identity related services can be found in the area identity hosting startup.cs file. So here this is under areas identity hosting startup. This is the configure method. Okay, so it injects an object, through dependency injection of web host builder type, and builder.configure services, it is calling the configure services method. So let's see the definition. So that is this method on the web host builder. Okay, and then we'll come back again, and first of all we'll have to examine register as per our learning outcome. So let's see register.cshtml.cs. Okay, now the point of interest, the method of interest to us is on post async. So you see all the code, template code is already written for me, so that's good, but I need to focus on this on post async method, which is returning a task of action result. So this is an async code, asynchronous method. Okay, and then this result is await.usermanager.createAsync, user input and password. So it is creating an asynchronously with the two arguments, user, identity user and input.password. Okay, so here when a user clicks the register link, so we'll look into this later when you run the application, the register model dot on post async action is invoked. The user is created by create async, this create async method on the user manager object. User manager is provided by this dependency injection, right? So if you look into the definition, so this is created by dependency injection. It's of user manager is of type, it returns the type user manager and it takes a identity user type, right? Now this, if the user was created successfully, because you're trying to examine the register, you are trying to register for the first time. So the first time the user is created successfully, the user is logged in by call to sign in manager dot sign in async. So where is that? It's again in that code, in that file. So sign in manager, sign in manager dot sign in async signs in the specified user. And what is this doing? This is the field, and this signs in the specified user. So not only the he is logged, the registration, a new registration is created for a user, but he is also signed in. Okay. Now I have opened up the login form that was also created when we scaffolded these three forms: login, register, and logout. So here the point to be highlighted, the method to be highlighted is this method on post async. Now this login form is displayed when the login link is selected. We'll see when the app is run, and a user attempts to access a restricted page, either of the two positions, either of the two cases, this form will be displayed. The login form will be displayed if either the login link is selected or a user attempts to access a restricted page that they aren't authorized to access, or when they haven't been authenticated by the system. So when the form on the login page is submitted, this on post async action is called. Now there is a password sign in async. So this is the method. Password sign in async method is called on the sign in manager object, and this object is also provided by dependency injection. So result will be actually it will await on this password sign in async with the input email and password, and with the remember me selected. So you can see that this is a boolean remember me. If you check in the remember me, it will be already input as true. Lockout failure flag indicating if the user account should be logged if the sign in fails. Okay, so if you make it true, lockout failure parameter, then the lockout will be, there will be account will be locked if the sign in by the user fails, right? So here the base controller class is what? The page model class. It exposes a user property, okay, that you can. So if you look into the definition, go to the definition of page model, it gives you a user property. So let's see where the user property, right? It returns a claims principal. So it exposes a user property, this base class page model class, on which this this controller class is derived, that you can access from the controller methods. For instance, you can enumerate user.claims and make authorization decisions. So if you go back, user.claims, you can do that. we can go back to that later, but it's, at the moment, let's not go over it. And I have given some more information in some links which you can study extra over and top of this video for bracing yourself with some advanced knowledge. Okay, so there are links which I will put in the description. And then there is a logout. Okay, so what is the logout page looks like? Logout.cshtml.cs. So logout link invokes the logout model.onPost action. So where is the onPost? This is the onPost action. Now here, sign out async. It clears the user's claims stored in a cookie. So user's claims are stored in a cookie, and it don't redirect after calling sign out async, or the user will not be signed out. Okay, so this is what Microsoft says, that you should not redirect after calling sign out async. So if you, after calling sign out async, if you redirect the page to some other page, the user will not be signed out. Now post is specific in the pages shared login. So login partial, login partial. So login partial. Now post is specified here. Method equals identity ASP page account logout. Where is the logout? So here method equals post. So method equals post. This is specified in this file login partial.cshtml. So finally we'll test the identity. The default web project templates allow anonymous access to the home page. To test identity, I'll have to add an annotation authorize to the privacy page. Now where is that privacy page? This is privacy page. So here I'll have to give it an annotation, data annotation. So that is authorize. Authorize, and there is something missing over here. Show potential fixes ASP.NET Core authorization. Okay, so that's it, and we'll now explore. We'll add this. Now we'll test this application. For running the app, running and testing the app, I have already run the app, and it is showing me that it is already on the browser at localhost, and my port is 44341. Your ports will definitely differ depending upon the individual machine. So for testing, there are a few steps that I have already written there. And to display the register form, we have to click the register link. Okay, so click the register link. So I will create a fresh registration. So I will register afresh with another email address just to demonstrate. Confirm password. All right, so as I click on the register link, it comes to onPost async, which tallies with our observation here. So on clicking the register link, the register model.onPost async action is invoked. Okay, so I have put my breakpoint over here. So a new user is created with the user email address as my email address that I have fed, and that is the email address, that is the email, and the username are both the same, and this login is created at this step by calling this create async method with the user and the input.password. Right here my password being shown, but you know, it's actually hashed password. So if the result is succeeded, now if you go to the next breakpoint, passwords, now it comes up with an error. Passwords must have at least one non-alphanumeric characters. Password must have at least one uppercase A to Z. Okay, so it won't take the earlier one. At least one non-alphanumeric character. So let us give it a number. Test 1 2 3 4 @ okay, so capital T E S T 1 2 3 4 @. Let's click on register and click on continue. Now it still protests, you know, passwords. Okay, now all right, it seems to be okay now. Yeah, it has logged me in, and I'll click never. So it has not only registered, but it has also logged me in. So now in order to get the logout screen, I need to click the logout, and I have put a breakpoint at a particular position, yeah, on this on post, and it will say logger on the logger, which is nothing but Microsoft.extension. It will give me it will store a message, you know, user logged out. And if you go back to the slideshow, earlier when you went to the registration page, if the user was created successfully, the user is logged in by the call to the sign in manager.sign in async, which was sign in manager.sign in async. Okay, and then logout if logged on registering. So I am in the process of logging out. Just wanted to show the logout link invokes the logout model.onPost action. So this is logout. I have still not on the post action, and to display the login form, click the login link. Okay, so let me first log out. So log out, you have successfully logged out of the application. Now there is a small issue in the application which I sorted out as per the GitHub issue, which has been, there is a workaround. Now I will first log out and then tell you what the sort out was. So this time it's no more showing the email address with the login button. So the fix was in this part of the code, this else, you know, earlier if the return URL was not null, or rather this branch will come if the return URL was null, instead of returning the page, it is redirecting to the page index. Okay, with this, you know, new area equals empty. So it was actually basically getting me to the home page, and that was a fix which I found on the GitHub on this one. I'll show you this link, this one. Okay, so just a recap, what we have learned today is okay. We have scaffolded the identity into a Razor project with authorization. We have created register, login and logout pages after scaffolding, and we have examined them. We have put some, there's already some code built into it. We have examined the highlights of those codes, and we have finally tested the identity. Okay, that's all.